harness the growth potential of fintech and non-financial firms even in remote corners, is poised to revolutionize the financial inclusion in India. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I, Swagata,
And I, Anushri,
welcome all eminent corporate guests, dignitaries from the university, faculty members, non-teaching members, and student participants to the 14th National Finance Conclave of KIIT School of Management on the theme Building a Sustainable, Inclusive Future, a Finance Perspective. To begin, I request all dignitaries to come to the stage and light the inaugural lamp.
thank you, dignitaries. Thank you, dignitaries. Two leading universities of India, Kalinga Institute of Industrial Technology and Kalinga Institute of Social Sciences, were founded by Professor Dr. Achyuta Samanta, Member of Parliament, Lok Sabha. Dr. Samanta is a humanitarian, statesman, and one of the greatest educational leaders of India. For his pioneering efforts in the field of education, he has been awarded 55 honorary doctorates and various national and international awards.
KIIT University, having more than 30,000 students from 65 countries, is India's first five-star rated university in QS ratings of 2021. It is amongst the top 10 private institutions of India to have received the Institution of Eminence status by Ministry of Education, Government of India. In the NIRF India Rankings 2023, KIIT was ranked 16th nationwide among public and private institutions in the country. KIIT has also been ranked in the 601 to 800 band in Times Higher Education World University Rankings for the year 2023. Recently, KIIT was felicitated as one of India's most influential brand 2021-22 at the 18th Asian Business and Social Forum.
Excelling not only in terms of education but also in sports and extracurriculars, 3 delegates from university represented India in Tokyo Olympics 2021 and 3 students represented India at the Birmingham Commonwealth Games 2022. We are delighted to share that KIIT, along with its sister university KISS, hosted the first ever Janjatiya Khel Mahotsav 2023.
KIIT School of Management, Bhubaneswar, is one of the top B schools of India. It has been awarded the Best B School of Odisha by Times Business Awards in 2020 and Life Membership Award by Association of Management Development Institutions in South Asia.
Our knowledge partner for this conclave is Contemporary, which deals with knowledge and business solutions. Contemporary provides transformative business solutions which will help the new age business cope with present and future challenges in the areas of talent and human resource management.
To set the context of this conclave, I request Professor Shikta Singh, convener of the conclave, on the stage. She is an accomplished educator with over 14 years of teaching experience and a diverse range of research interests, including behavioral finance, international financial management, and development economics. She has contributed significantly to academia with numerous publications in national and international journals, as well as authoring book chapters and books. She is well versed in designing e-contents for e-learning platforms like Swayam and conducted various Atal FDPs by Government of India. Her expertise and commitment to education and societal progress have earned her numerous accolades, including being a gold medalist and the APJ Abdul Kalam Teachers Excellence Award by AICTE, Government of India. Ma'am, we request you to kindly set the context of the conclave.
Thank you, Swagata. A very good morning, everyone. Esteemed panelists present over here, respected Pro VC, Sir, respected Dean Ma'am, all the senior faculty members, students, and the staffs. So I'm deeply privileged to stand before amidst such an eminent galaxy and share the context as per the discussion goes by on the pertinent theme of building a sustainable, inclusive future, a finance perspective. So, as we know that we are right now 25 years far from achieving of centenary, and 25 years from now, India could exceed a per capita income of more than the level of almost 13 times by unblocking some key areas that demand investment and policy interventions. So I, representing my area, first of all, let's hear what our area has a perspective from the point of view of the theme of the conference.
One of the most important initiatives taken by the present government has been how to use technology for improving financial inclusion. And one of the earliest attempt in this was called the JAM initiative, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar and Mobile. How do you integrate the Jan Dhan accounts which were open to large number of poor families, and how do you use Jan Dhan to your Aadhaar cards, which is your basic identity, and how do you use your mobile telephone to do this?
This sustainability is not a new concept, but more recent times so a lot of discussions and research are being done. So I am sure that today's deliberation will definitely help our students and scholars like me also to get some input in the deliberations so that next we can do some more research on this topic.
Inclusion and sustainability are two of the major problems that the world is facing today. About 75% of India's working population, according to a McKinsey study, is today working below their full economic potential. This number is about 20 to 30% in advanced economies like the US. To bring this underutilized resources to their full potential, investment of $21 trillion needs to be made over the next decade. Similarly, for sustainability, another 30 to 50 trillion dollars need to be spent over the next decade in the G20 countries to meet the Paris Declaration objectives of net zero by 2050 in advanced economies and 2070 for India.
I am very happy that this year the Finance Conclave is focusing on sustainability. You know, these days the companies, they are not focusing on profit much. Also, they are not focusing on CSR activities, but they are focusing on environment protection. I'm looking forward the kind of your discussion that is going to have in our conclave.
So yes, from the current economic scenario of India with its aggregate economic contribution to 18% to GDP right now, we have drastically changed in terms of a service-driven economy with its contribution more than 53%. And there has many more in terms of a positive economic indicators. Not moving. So if we look into the Indian market in terms of potential, yes, investors too are coming in, looking into this market potentiality, and there has been a significant drive as per the 4 pillars of growth, which is driven by consumption, investment, government expenses, and the level of trade which is going on. So by 2080, we are expecting having the median population and more than 90 million of the population who are millennial will be holding the highest number of consumption pattern. Let's see, as we have moved with the level of payments in the growth transitions which has happened, and let's play the video for that. So yes, what do you notice? Isn't it a sheer way in terms of having a way or driving towards the financial inclusion? So when you talk about financial inclusion, how can we forget the role of RBI and the government? So the monetary policy with its claimant in changes in terms of the monetary policy mechanism, thereby creating a driving force, you see rates changing and thereby the role of MPC, the policy frameworks, and RBI, it has actively pursuing the implementation of digital rupee, which is the CBDC, which has already begun with the pilot survey in terms of November 2022, and the forthcoming plans for the rental in terms of CBDC is on. And there we move in terms of the various growth and innovations which are essential, which are paving to make the progress towards achieving, yes, very broad and significant goals. So it's essential to bring about a linkage with the growth, thereby maintaining the level of economic inclusion and thereby achieving the aspiration of net zero. Yesterday in the class, we spoke about the economies and diseconomies, right? So this is how we can measure out in terms of our economy, how to drive the propel of growth and thereby building a strong linkage amongst the growth and innovation, economic inclusion, and net zero transition. We have highlighted both the positive externalities and the negative externalities. And you'll be happy to notice that the positive externalities are outgoing or surpassing the negative ones. And this is where we are leading with the question in terms of how across the globe, in terms of the lower middle income countries lagging more than inclusion than on sustainability, the level of data which is being indicated by the GDP ratio, by the level of CO2 emissions, and the Gini, which indicates the level of inequality, which is closer to zero as far as one, and the figures are very, very evident in order to create a level of sustainability and coining for the growth. So what is required? I leave with the experts before here to decide how we will be able to build in financial inclusion, thereby ensuring sustainability, yes, which is a real challenge. We are here to drive a roadmap for that, and we require the adoption, the usage, and the elimination of sustainability. So with that, I thank you all and welcome again to this 14th Finance National Conclave. Thank you again.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words. We are happy to have Professor Sumita Mishra, Dean, KIIT School of Management, with us to welcome the guests. Professor Mishra is an alumni of the Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Mumbai, and she has completed her PhD from MDI, Gurgaon, with 15 prolific years of experience in academics. She has contributed to the research in the domain of organization theory, organization culture, training, transfer and HR analytics, and has also presented papers in national and international conferences. Ma'am, we request you to please welcome the guests.
Esteemed Pro Vice Chancellor, KIIT deemed to be university, valued invited guests, respected Vice President, KIIT deemed to be university, respected faculty members, and my dear students, a very, very good morning to all of you. It is a pleasure on my part to welcome you all on the occasion of the 14th National Finance Conclave on the theme, Building a Sustainable Inclusive Future, a Finance Perspective. KIIT School of Management has always remained committed to the vision of our honorable founder, KIIT and KISS, Professor Achyuta Samanta, to impart relevant education and create optimal value for our students. We here at the school create several best practices to help achieve this vision. Among these practices, as you know, dear students, conclaves are the most prominent as they provide a valuable forum to hear our industry counterparts on relevant themes of importance. KIIT School of Management hosts 4 domain-based conclaves aligned to overriding themes in the areas of HR, marketing, business analytics, and finance. In the 14th edition of these conclaves, several modifications have been done in the structure in the forums, in the kind of themes that we want to speak about to uplift the experience for all. Sustainability and inclusion have always been words of importance, but they have gained tremendous prominence since the pandemic. In 2023, all of our conclaves have been themed around these keywords and have been discussed from the point of view of HR, business analytics, marketing, and now today we'll witness a discussion from the finance lens. The conclave hosts 2 concurrent panels and 10 workshops. I welcome the panelists of the first concurrent panel, Mr. Gopal Panda, Mr. Dev Tripathi, Mr. Amit Poddar, Mr. Chirag Bhatt, and Mr. Akash Mittal. I also take the opportunity to welcome our panelists of the second concurrent panel, Ms. Sandhya J., Mr. T.N. Siva Subramaniam, Mr. Amit Tripathi, and Mr. Kumar Aishkant. The conclave also provides an opportunity for guests and students to in-depth interaction in student workshops. I welcome our workshop facilitators, Ms. Sandhya J., Mr. Amit Tripathi, Mr. Subhanshu Shekhar Shukla, Ms. Anita Patnaik, Mr. Kumar Aishkant, Mr. Chirag Bhatt, Mr. Rahul Bothra, Mr. Pawan Rupani, and Mr. Dev Tripathi, and Mr. Amit Poddar. I thank you all for coming out here and wishing to share your perspectives with us today, with our students, and to interact with our faculty, our university, and our students. I look forward to a day long of lively discussions, and I wish the Finance Conclave all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your enlightening words. We are happy to have Professor Tapan Kumar Panda, Pro Vice Chancellor, KIIT University. Dr. Panda has more than 28 years of experience of working with premium business schools like IIM Lucknow, IIM Kozhikode, IIM Indore, OP Jindal Global University, Narsi Munshi Institute of Management Studies in the area of marketing. He has authored 20 books and numerous articles in the field of management. Sir, I request you to please address the gathering.
Good morning to you all. I think I have only 2 things to do here, to thank people and raise a couple of questions on behalf of students. When the deliberation happens here, I expect the CFOs to address those questions. Respected Dr. Achyut Samant, in absence here, who is the founder of the university, Samir, who is not present here, Dean Dr. Mishra, senior faculty colleagues, those who are present here, and Mr. Kumar Manti, who is coordinating from the corporate side, and all the dignitaries who are present here. It's all 20 days, 21 days here. So a couple of days before, I think a week before, people came back and said that there's a conclave that we are arranging and we need to invite CFOs. So desperately I started calling friends if they can make it in a short notice period of time. So I'd like to thank all of you, all the CFOs who are present here, for being kind to me and to the school in finding some time and being here. And special mention to Anand from GEL, who helped me in connecting to you so quickly. And I'm pretty sure average age of the CFOs in this room is quite post 40s and early 50s. So there will be a lot of contemporary ideas and thought. And then I heard that also Gopal is coming from NASCOM, who will be blending a lot of industry perspectives from technology side when he moderates the panel there. As mentioned, there are 2 panels here. The first panel is here focusing more on fintech and sustainability. And the second panel is more from the industry point of view, how things are moving from industry point of view. That will be an interesting one because we'll be able to listen to a lot of industries and their perspectives as far as sustainability is concerned. There is a common perception among people that these 3 words, sustainability, inclusiveness, and growth, are against each other. But if you look at the task at hand at this point of time, which talks about decarbonizing the world by 2050 and bringing the temperatures to 1.5 degrees centigrade down. And the amount of investment required is 10% of GDP of the whole world for the next 10 to 15 years is a big challenge. Big challenge from 2 points of view, because investments should come from public institutions and governments and funding agencies, and also from the corporate side part of it. So we cannot really think of achieving such humongous goals without having growth. And when the question of growth comes to the mind, obviously the CFOs come into the picture. And once you bring the CFOs into the picture, there are investment bankers, they also come into the perspective. And when they seek for funds and investments into their business and go to the investment bankers have the first question: how exactly your ESG goals are converted into performances? It's nice to have ESG goals, but most of the ESG goals should be in the balance sheet. Most of us will prefer your ESG goals and targets to be in the balance sheet, and would like to set them as your assets, or if you are a really, really bad company on the liability side. But what is expected is that how do you really bring it to your income statements? So at this point of time, it's a big challenge for CFOs to reflect how exactly they will build up those fundamental matrices, granular metrics, which will convince the investment public that you need to put your money into our company, because our companies are into the domain of sustainability and inclusiveness. Talking sustainability and inclusiveness from a strategy perspective or a philosophy perspective is fine. But when you really go back to their positions and then start looking into the kind of challenge they are facing, then it is really, really tough one to do, because unless they get investments, there will never be growth in the corporate. And if there is no growth, your ideas of furthering your company's interest into sustainability and inclusivity domain will be limited. And in the process, these humongous goals that people have talked about in Davos or all other places are going to be compromised. As a student, I understand that we were luckier than all of you because we only read something called crisis in the books. And then professors will illustrate crisis which happened probably when we were children or before that. But for you, crisis happened just a couple of years back. We started as a health crisis that got converted into an economic crisis. And from economic crisis, that became a social crisis. And from social crisis, that became further a humanitarian crisis. And that all happened in next 2 to 3 year period of time. If you ask a CFO their understanding of macroeconomic indicators, they will say that it is a choice for them, whether they will understand macroeconomic indicators or not. They're more into the corporate finance side than linking their businesses with macro indicators. But the shocks which we have gone through very recently, which has got a long-term impact on business, have forced many CFOs to look at the macroeconomic indicators, particularly inflation, right? Maybe we don't talk much about inflation in India, but across the globe there is a conversation about inflations, where CFOs have focused in last 10, 15 years, so that many of them have become CEOs. It's actually a debate when you sit and listen to CMOs and CHROs and CFOs, why the CFOs become CEOs and why these people don't become CEOs, because CFOs are very focused. Their talks are about productivity, efficiency, operational stability, and liquidity. That's what is essential for running a successful business, whereby CMOs will talk about values. I'm a marketing professor, all those stuff. CHROs will talk about quality of manpower, how do you really improve your recruitment. But today when you look at a CFO's role, it's moving out from those hardcore financial metrics into changing the culture of the organization, because they're responsible for generating investments and driving growth there. When you're talking about changing the culture of the investments, focus is moving from shareholder to a stakeholder's value. So they need to understand inflation. Inflation brings these disruptions, and inflation brings currency volatility. Those who are into international trade and business, they understand currency volatility and how it is impacting business across the world. The only savior, Gopal should be happy, is technology. The only deflationary element in this exercise is technology. And we have started believing that technology is going to be a sustainable competitive advantage. But technology jumps like a frog. 1 trillionth of a second, you have got 1 trillionth of a meter is the rate at which you see technology emerging from there. Of course, we can't really not look back to HRO, and we have to link inflation with baby boomers, particularly many people who left their jobs during COVID are not willing to come back. And they're looking at a different set of value systems in the companies and asking questions on that part of it. And most important one that we are looking at, the inflation linking with the supply chains. How exactly the CFOs are looking into the operations and managing the supply chains. Because supply chains play a greater role into this zero decarbonization process. Actually, I'm not a participant into the conversations, but since I work in the area of sustainability, I thought I'll raise a couple of questions here. So before I conclude, why the CFOs are not interested in sustainability? Because they always question about data. Where is your information? Where is data? Which are the segments on which it has to work? How the CSR practices to ESG practices are governed inside the companies? What are the technology barriers and architectures which are evolving, which are going to impact the performance and productivity of the companies? And all of these factors, when you bring out the leg-hedgy clouds, they start questioning about return on investments. So ROIs and economic investments is a question that put into. And finally, if they have to really kill you, they'll say, so your sustainability dashboard. So these are some of the questions, if you read and listen to the debates which are happening. I'm pretty sure the CFOs who are coming here, they'll be able to tell my students what kind of ROIs they're looking at if they have to go for the practices of sustainability and inclusivity in organizations, how they are using technology for absorbing these SOCs, which are economic SOCs or social SOCs or cultural SOCs, and then what kind of metrics they have developed. What we call today is called regenerative companies, right? So how they are making themselves as a regenerative companies. There are two levels of creating regenerative companies. One at a strategic level, at the investment level. One can be at the operational level. For example, if you have got a packaging material and you are writing how to dispose of the packaging material and people start practicing it, it's a great contribution towards net zero initiative that you have got. It's a very tactical thing that you do, but many companies talk about that part. For example, you can take over millions and millions of square kilometers of your seashore and then thousand and thousand miles of your forests and try to see that how you can become a regenerative company because your business is a nature-dependent business. So you need to identify what is the level of nature dependency that you have in your business, and then how exactly you can create a regenerative model for your business. Let's listen to all of them and get some interesting ideas. I'm pretty sure the professors present here will get some clues to further the research, the challenge which will be put by them. And students will have more learning from the books into the practices which are being followed as far as technology implementation is concerned, whether it is a payment bank or it is other kind of technology which are used there. It's very difficult to imagine your life without technology these days. At no point of time it was like that, but today it is more and more of that. And then what are these sustainable metrics which are being followed? We'd like to listen to that from the panel discussion. I welcome all of you again for this event and look forward to meaningful conversations. And I'm pretty sure your visit to us have enriched us, built a new experience with all of us and a new relationship. And going forward at intellectual levels, such relationships will continue to be together. And whenever there is a task which you expect our students to really execute for your company at this domain or some other, please look back to KIIT School of Management because that's where the real integration happens between what is being taught inside the classroom and what is being practiced in the industry. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable words. As part of the conclave, we had organized pre-conclave competitions which were a huge success. There were more than 12,000 registrations from reputed educational institutions, which included 20 IIMs, 10 NITs, 8 IITs, 4 IIITs, FMS, XLRI, IISc, and more than 100 P schools. The winners of the business plan competition are as follows. And the winners are Team from IIM Mumbai, Rajat S. Pandey, Ayush Chaudhary, and Debashish Paul. Can we have a huge round of applause for them? Thank you. The first runners-up are team from PJT SAU, Suvra Patnaik and B. Mahesh Kumar. The second runners-up are team from Jaipuria Institute of Management, Jaipur, Debutam Ghosh and Niharika Soni. Congratulations to all the winners.
The winners of the finance quiz is Ashish Solanki, IIM Lucknow. The runners-up is Pushkar Roy, Christ University, Pune. Let's have a huge round of applause for the winners. Thank you. Before we move forward, let's sit back and enjoy the Konclave video, the voice of students made by the school's finance club, Team Exchequer, in association with the media club, First Cut.
Producing more of renewable energy so that it can reduce its dependence on Middle East. Even Apple announced in its latest keynote that all the iPhones using cobalt will go reusable and recyclable from the year 2027, which is a huge step in reducing carbon emissions.
Exactly. For instance, ITC has made an app called ITC Mars, which brings digital tools to farmers.
If we talk about McKinsey and Company, they are actively working on decarbonization and have already reduced 80% of the CO2 emission.
Not only that, they have also created 200 new businesses and generated over 20,000 new jobs.
So companies nowadays are not typically into environmental, but also in social and governance aspects.
Hello. So it was an amazing experience. We got the first prize in Financial Conclave arranged by KIIT University, and we are hoping such challenging competitions ahead in near future also from KIIT University. Thank you.
Hello everyone, this is Shura from Team White Tiger. I participated in Fin Analytics businessman competition and I secured second rank. It was an amazing experience with KIIT School of Management.
Hope you all liked it. I invite Professor Tapan Kumar Panda to please come to the stage to felicitate our guests. I invite Mr. Gopal Sharma, CFO NASCOM, to the stage. Sir, please.
I invite Mr. Dev Tripathi, Director Finance, Philips India, Indian subcontinent, to the stage. Sir, please.
Next, I invite Mr. Akash Mittal, CFO, KIIT India, to the stage. Sir, please.
Moving on, I invite Mr. Amit Podar, CFO, India Power. Sir, please come to the stage.
Now, I invite Mr. Chirag Bhatt, Indirect Taxation Head, Aditya Birla Group, to the stage. Sir, please.
I invite Ms. Sandhya J, CFO, Narayana Health, to come to the stage. Ma'am, please.
I invite Mr. Kumar Ayashkanta, Group CIO, Wipro Enterprise. Sir, please come to the stage.
Now, I invite Mr. Amit Tripathi, CIO, Fixed Income, Nippon FM, to come to the stage. Sir, please.
Moving on, I invite Mr. T.N. Sivasubramanian, CFO, Shibora Machine Private India Limited, to please come to the stage. Can we have some applause, please? Thank you, sir. Thank you, guests. You may kindly take your seats now.
I request Professor Sumita Mishra to come to the stage and felicitate our guests. I now invite Mr. Shubhanshu Shekhar Shukla, AVP Business Growth, Zeal Education, to come to the stage. Sir, please.
I now invite Mr. Rahul Botra, Senior Vice President, Corporate Finance, Coinman Capital Advisors. Sir, please come to the stage.
I invite Mr. Pavan Rupani, Chief Manager, ICICI Bank, to come to the stage. Sir, please.
We also have with us Ms. Anita Patnaik, General Manager, RBI in absentia. She will be joining us directly for the workshop session. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, all the guests.
To give the vote of thanks, we have Professor Kumar Mohanty. Director, Corporate Relations, KIIT University. With over 25 years of diverse experience in marketing, retail, and education, Professor Mohanty has a proven track record of delivering value to organizations. He has worked as a regional head to national head of companies like Nico Corporations, Jensen and Nicholson, Phenolix Cables, and IMS. Sir, we request you to kindly come to the stage.
Invited guests, my faculty colleagues, my colleagues from the Corporate Relations Department, boys and girls, I would definitely like to take this opportunity to thank all the guests for having agreed to having come down here. It has been wonderful talking to all of them, Gopal, Drev, Amit, Chirag, Akash, Aish Khan, Mr. Subramaniam. I'm sorry if I'm missing out on people. Amit, it's been wonderful, I think, talking to all of you. At a very short notice, though, you all agreed to have spared your time to come down here. On behalf of the university, on behalf of the founder, on behalf of the management of the university, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, and also to and also I would like to take this opportunity to inform you that as a university, we have moved from a model of employability to deployability in the last decade as of now. And in the coming moments, we look forward to engaging with you, creating an industry-academia interfacing with you, where we can create a value proposition both for the students and for the industry. My colleagues from the faculty team and from the corporate relation team will be engaging with you, will definitely discuss with you, something that we discussed yesterday in the evening also. And we look forward to creating a scenario where I'm sure there could be a lot of research papers coming along with industry. There could be a lot of live projects that we could work with industry. There could be a lot of value content and content delivery and co-creation that we can look at with industry. And I must also take this opportunity to thank all the students sitting out here. So boys and girls, can you clap for yourself? I will not stand in between the panels and the deliberations to happen. Just a quick announcement here that panel 1 will happen here in this auditorium. Panel 2 we will have, so I will request the student coordinators to escort our panel 2 guests to School of Rural Management auditorium. We'll have both the panels running concurrently, and then we come back here again for the workshops. Again, I would like to thank all of you, ladies and gentlemen, invited guests, for having spared your time for a wonderful deliberation. I must also thank the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Tapan Panda, for setting a wonderful context. And I must also thank our CFO from the university, who is also here with us from the university. And I would like to hand it over to the moderators, but to take it forward. Thank you so very much.
Can you hear me? Okay. So thank you, KIIT School of Management and Dean Sumita Misra and Professor Kumar Mohanty, all students, and Professor Sikta Singh. Today I found this as an opportunity for us to interact all of you to understand that, okay, what on the ground you understand from the sustainability point of view, and what as we CFO along with my panelists, we will try that what most relevant talk we can start and we can focus on, like say, what is need of today. So starting with, I will just start, to introduce myself. I, Gopal Sharma, I had CFO function for NASCOM. Before that, I worked for numerous tech companies, including PayPal and Siemens. I remember, like, say 2007 and 8, we were in, when I was new, or let's say started some of my career in finance, then I thought it is technology which is going to be take up now. So I moved from Delhi to Chennai to join PayPal because I thought the digitalization is going to be the future. Later on, I think the technology is everywhere. I think now it is a time to for all of us finance people to know that, or to understand that the future is sustainability, right? So with that, I will start asking my panelists, and starting from Ved, right? Sorry. So starting from Ved, who works for Philips. Over to you, Ved.
Yeah. Hi. Good morning. So I'm Dev Tripathi. I'm heading the finance for Philips. You may be knowing this organization for quite some time. So you know Philips for what? Can you please loudly say what you know this organization for? Lights. Correct. And TV. Correct. Music. Some smart guys are there where the question is already, the answer is leaked. So all the businesses, what you said, we are out of those businesses. So we are one of the leading health technology organizations in this country and across the globe. So I started my career, I come from this same state of Odisha. I started my career with Tata Steel in the ferroalloys and manganese division. I worked in the Paradip port for 2.5 years before taking up a responsibility with Associated British Food, who are into very different industry of manufacturing yeast and bakery ingredients, from steel, ores, port operations, mines, minerals, to another organization which is into food and food ingredients manufacturing. Philips is my third assignment. I worked with Philips for last 16 years. I am working with Philips. It's been a great journey, great learning. I always feel that it's an university in itself where I have shaped myself. Okay, and that's why I have a huge respect for all the professors when I come across that when you are teaching students here, I can really feel that, okay, what value you are adding to their careers, to their way of thinking. Okay, and I'm looking forward that, okay, how we can have a more interactive session. Okay, and please feel free to ask questions, and please let us know if we are not very clear in what you are communicating. Yeah.
Thank you, Dev. So I'll move to now I'll move to Amit Podar, who works for India Power. So, sir, introduce yourself and tell about your industry.
So, good morning. I am Amit Poddar, and I presently work as CFO for India Power Corporation Limited. So, just to give a brief about India Power Corporation, it's a real distinction. Like, we are a 105 years old company. Not many people, cross 100 years of their existence. There are very, very few companies. So, we are 105-year-old distribution utility. So we are carrying the British legacy also when we are sitting here today. So we are in a power generation, we are in power distribution. And I have been working in this company for last almost 12 years. So prior to working with India Power, I was with Tata Teleservices Limited, their telecom venture. So if you remember those 2003, 2004 days, Tata brought a revolution in, though they are not very much now in this mobile business, but they brought a revolution in this mobile business. If you remember, there was a concept of non-stop mobile. So, earlier what used to happen, the tariff rates were very high. And if you don't pay or recharge or you don't pay, your even incoming calls will also get stopped. But then the company thought, why to stop the incoming calls? Even on incoming calls, you earn revenue. Maybe you earn better revenue by doing an outgoing call, but you earn revenue by even getting the calls, interconnectivity charges you earn. So we brought this revolution. So mobile never stops. But yes, to curb the wrong practices now, we have to actually, after some time, we have to If the mobile is not recharged, we have to stop. So from telecom, prior to telecom, I was briefly have worked for 5 years. I was with Raymond Limited in their textiles division, and from Raymond, I have worked for a brief period, about 2 years, in Whirlpool of India Limited, again consumer durable company. Presently, you all know Whirlpool is for refrigerators, air conditions, other stuffs. So I carry with me a lot of when I joined telecom, it was the springing of telecom companies. All those telecom companies maybe are actually got disappeared, but there was spring of telecom companies when I joined telecom. And now in the last 10 years or a decade, we are seeing a lot of things happening in power sector. In fact, most of the focus of the government is now in power sector, because this is one area which will contribute to sustainability in a very, very big way by promoting green energy and other things, which I will talk later on. So this is about myself, and I thank KIIT University, deemed university. I thank Dr. Professor Panda, Professor Kumar Maharti, and all the faculties for giving this opportunity. Thank you, students. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Amit Podar. Now I'll move to Mr. Chirag, who works with Hindalco, and he is in Hindalco is from long time in manufacturing. And why I'm saying so? Because in environment, three things are all of you know is important. One is the production, other is consumption, and third use, and third is the logistic. So again, over to you, Chirag. Introduce yourself, and later on we'll talk about, let's say, what is your view on policy about the sustainability.
Good. Hi everyone. I am the most boring topic which I handle in the company, which is taxation. And again, the taxation coupled with sustainability, it goes to the next level. However, given the seriousness of the sustainability, even ABG Group have committed to be zero emission by 2035, as latest as that. So it is very near and dear to the group policies per se. Having said that, being part of the policy advocacy group as well, I've been very closely working with government to understand their perspectives, the need which the industry is facing out, being a catalyst to manage the needs of both industry and the government, taking care about the EBITDA part, taking care about the ROE part, how the solution-oriented models is the need of an hour, which could be the takeaway for the young finance professionals like you. Thank you.
Thank you, Chirag. Now, Akash Mittal from KIIT. He works in automobile, and it is a key, important now, let's say, renewable energy and how we can move automobile from what you call as a carbon emission based fuel to renewable fuel. So over to Akash.
Thank you. Good morning all. It's indeed a pleasure to be here in front of such young, energetic crowd sitting here. One of the things that I immediately feel when I come here, neighbors envy, owners pride. The kind of colleges that we used to have, and when I look at it, I feel going to college all over again. So that's the kind of feeling. So wishing you all the very best and for your future, and I'm sure you will all do very well. So I qualified in '94, so it's almost 30 years now that I've been in industry. I have been with Fiat for last 16 years, in automobile for about 18 years. And I don't know, it was just coincidence or a strategic that on a sustainability discussion, three major representatives of three major industries who are contributing to these challenges have been called here: power, commodity manufacturing, and automobiles. Right? The only ones which are missing is construction and agriculture. Otherwise, I think more or less we have. And one solution provider, we have Philips, who's taking care of your health. So it's a very strategic manner in which it has been organized, and I'm sure it's not coincidence, but great bit of planning and organizing. Sustainability is the thing. I think in last decade it has taken prominence. Um, in India, it is becoming very, very critical, although India is not one of the top emitters. But yeah, India has to play its role because it's finally about people, it's about world, and as we have seen, the conscious government of has given saying that one world for the entire people, one humanity. So that is something which I really appreciate. And I'm sure this is going to be a very engaging and constructive discussion that we'll have. And at the end of it, I'm sure with the questions and with the inputs from all my friends sitting here, we will also have excellent takeaways. So Gopal, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Akash. So from audience, I just want to have one or two questions actually. Just I want to understand from audience, any one of you can call about why sustainability is important for your point of view. And just for give the sense to my panelists, right? So just why sustainability is important for you. We have our understanding and our perspective, but just I want to understand from your point of view. Anyone volunteer? Anyone?
Yes, I think there is.
Please.
Okay, thank you. You need mic? Very nice. So I agree. Anyone else? One more volunteer? Any different perspective? Okay.
Absolutely.
Absolutely right. I think we learned that how health is important after COVID. So I agree because sustainability is very, very relevant because decade ago you just set up factory and just produce, or decades ago, but now it is whatever you produce, consume or distribute, it is important that are we accountable as a industry or as a manufacturer, as a consumer, are we accountable to the future generations? And how we are taking care of everything which is environment friendly. And what we produce as carbon emission, either it is eliminated or it could be, we should have the alternate way that we can reproduce that good gases. So from there, I will start with Ved again, with the since student point of view, why sustainability is important. And Ved, you work in Philips and you work in Tata's, right, in past. So your experience from the manufacturing then and now, and things have changed from changing, and we can see the change. However, there are challenges, there are things to evolve. But still we can see that a lot of things are happening around sustainability, and what we read and what we understand, like say CAGR on sustainability based product is high now. Investors are conscious while making investment whether that company is working on sustainability or so. So it's a core demand now. So from KIIT or for your experience from the manufacturing, what do you think that how it is now much more relevant, especially for our finance professionals? And any use case you want to give us for us that how we can relate something that okay it is real, it is not on the books or on papers, but it is real. Over to you.
Sure. So, I'm audible, correct? Yes. So, when it comes to sustainability, if you double click on this word sustainability, then there are three underlying pillars under it. Okay, one is I can consider that one is environment, one is social, and third is governance. When it comes to environment, it is no more a page 3 topic. You know page 3, correct? It is the newspaper, the third page where you can see all the parties, the celebrities, what they did in the evening, all those things comes. No more environment is a page 3 topic. I am concerned about environment. And if you'll ask me why I am concerned, when I was as children, as a child of age 10 or 12, my father used to take me to the nearby water bodies, the ponds, okay, and used to teach me how to swim. I could never do it not because of he was teaching me wrongly, but it was because of the huge water was there inside. 5 years back, when I took my son to same ponds around, I was surprised that okay, there was no water in it. It was full with trash, or wherever there was a little bit water, it was so dirty that okay, you don't like to touch those waters. In my childhood, I have never heard that okay, what was cancer. Today, I see every alternate house has one or more cases people are struggling with to deal with cancer. Okay? So that's why it concerns me that environment is not anymore a topic of passion, it is a concern. Now the second thing why again I feel that okay, it is a much bigger concern is because of our ignorance. Our audacity to not believe it. Let me give you an example. Most of the people are coming from Odisha, correct? What is the rice bowl of, which place is the rice bowl of Odisha? Bargad. So Bargad is known as the rice bowl of Odisha, like Andhra is known as the rice bowl of India. Now, from a rice bowl, you should see the journey from a rice bowl to a cancer capital of Odisha. So our grid never stops. We got water, we got irrigation through Hirakud Dam, we got one harvest to two harvest to three harvest. Our grid never stopped. By using or overusing or irregular usage of fertilizers, pesticides, and whatever you say, we used. And as a result, what we gifted to people? We gifted cancer. So this is what actually causes the concern about environment. Now, we can see that, okay, so what? I am not responsible for that one? No. It's the time has come that we need to tell that, okay, how am I accountable? How am I doing my job to work on the environment, social, and governance piece? So as an organization, when I see that, okay, how am I contributing towards a better future? Somebody told a very nice thing that, okay, ESG is all about a future, great future world where we are leaving most of the resources also to be used for them. Okay, it's not that we are consuming everything. So when I say so, don't consider that, okay, I'm against power, I'm against automobiles or any of such things. We need to improve our standard of living. We need to improve our the infrastructure around. Now, where we need to be sensible is that with using that much of resources, how we can maximize the output. Okay, so in a ESG framework, there is something called, at the center of it, there is an ecosystem which is very much human around human, okay? Because the customer at the end is a human being. So in that ecosystem, one of the factor is healthcare, and I come from that industry. Like Sandhya also comes from healthcare, and she comes from the delivery side. So I come from the technology side, the equipment side. So what we do, we say that, okay, there are four P's which works for us, okay? And let me remember that, okay, whether all the four P's I can remind, but one is that preventive healthcare, okay? One is, predictive healthcare. Third is precise, okay? And fourth is personalized. So 4 types is defined under the ESG, that all these 4 P's, if we can bring in healthcare. As a company or as a technology provider, what we do is that we make sure that a MRI machine which cost goes up to 15 crores, whether by first instance we can ask a patient can be diagnosed with the right issue, okay? A patient or a clinician can take least amount of time to diagnose the right issue. So our values, we have a quadruple aim in Philips. What we drive is, first, the first one is that how to improve the clinician's experience. The clinicians, when I see, it is the doctors, the paramedicals. To improve the experience of the patients, the second one. The third one is that to improve the health outcome. So that is the quality of healthcare. And the fourth one, which is the most important, is to reduce the cost of care. Now, you can compare that, okay, when there will be healthcare issues, how we can improve our efficiency, productivity by using lesser amount of power or the resources which causes the climatic impacts, but provide more, provide better and much efficient healthcare needs to the people. And we closely work with the government on Ayushman Bharat, where it exactly matches that, where government says that, okay, how to make healthcare affordable and it can be reached to people. So exactly like how we use the volume of Indian population and make healthcare affordable by reducing the waste. Reducing the waste, reducing the time, reducing the inefficiencies in the system, and give the most and not further put a pressure on the climate.
Thank you, Ved. So I think one I can understand is consuming power is a source of light emission because it uses a lot of coal and fuel. So now I'll move to Amit Podar. He is in power sector, and I will ask Amit sir that he give us few points that how power is dependent on these fuel which produce emissions, and how are you shifting from based on the X input to Y input, which is more environment friendly. Over to you, Amit.
Sure, thank you. So, as rightly said by some of you, sustainable and inclusive economy, it's a vision that we all are seeing for a developed nation, where every people participate and benefit from the economic and social development. So, it has to be a continuous effort, it has to be a long-term perspective, and it has to be a balance between the economic growth, social development and economic development. And to give you a perspective, sustainability, economic growth, financial inclusion or inclusivity, they are all complementary to each other. One leads to the development of the other aspect, and they are also interdependent also. So today's topic, sustainability, fintech and financial inclusion. Before we, I'm a firm believer finance has been a driver of cutting edge technologies, and the way it can interlink the economic growth, sustainability, economic growth, social well-being, no other domain can bring such a cohesive approach which finance can do. The financial ecosystem can actually, by setting up a sound digital infrastructure can actually bring all these people together. But moving forward, see two things which they've also told, two things which is touching our daily lives. What are those two things? I would say one thing is technology, and another is the environment and society in which we live in. So technology, we all know it's a cutting edge technology, it's a disruptive technology. Emerging technologies are very innovative. It's changing our lives in a very, very positive way. But at the same time, what is happening to environment? If not at the same pace, it is actually getting degenerated in the same way. So these concerns of environment, social and governance, everything has suddenly cropped up. So what we mean by environment preservation or social inclusiveness, I will just say 2-3 things. So we have to be very responsible when we are using our natural resources or physical resources for our economic production. So we have to have a responsible approach. So we use the resources efficiently so that the coming generations do not suffer from the scarcity of these resources. Okay, then we are seeing the type of climate changes which is happening. Monsoons getting delayed, untimely rains, floods, and all sorts of natural disaster which you can say is a part of this climatic changes, and mitigation this climatic change is a part of sustainability. See, sir told about healthcare. So if you focus on sustainability, so sustainability will automatically help in improving the overall public health, because the environment will be clean, people will be more participating, more educated, and it will promote public health. So that in the same way, in social initiatives, we all know we want more and more people to participate in the economic activity. We want to reduce the inequalities of the income. We want to reduce poverty. So a lot of programs, government initiative, from the corporate side, individual side, everybody is doing something or the other. And even on the governance side, although also from in the ESG perspective, people are now, government has also come with own sets of rules, Ind AS and IFRS being a major contributor to these initiatives. So so here what I want to mean, see, large corporates may be able to adopt these ESG practices or sustainability practices fast because of their availability of resources, awareness, and expert people in their domain. But what about the small corporates, SME segment? How we integrate all those people into this sustainability? It's a real challenge because of the huge population that we are having presently. So we need to see how this integration takes place. So having said some setting the context of ESG, I would say I would now limit myself to the initiatives of the power sector. See, we all know traditionally the power generation that used to happen was through fossil fuels, majorly coal, and it is a very, very polluting industry. Let me tell you, you burn coal, it's the direct emission of carbon dioxide, greenhouse gases, and sulfur dioxide. So there's been a major transition from coal-based generation to the renewable sources of generation. Government is taking all efforts, bringing out all policies, regulations, priority sector, lending norms, everything they are doing to promote this green energy. To give you the type of future expansion we are having, the government is having in this renewable sector, we are presently, say, 170 gigawatt of renewable capacity, and we are planning to move to 500 gigawatt of renewable capacity by 2030. Now it's a very, very ambitious and remarkable target. To give you a thought process on numbers, so 1 gigawatt will approximately cost somewhere around 3,500 to 4,000 crores. So if you multiply with that number, see the type of amount of investment we are looking for. So this is one of the focus of the entire nation on green energy. Another very remarkable development, it's more into the nascent stage, the production of green hydrogen. See, presently, if again some statistics I would give, we are a consumer of almost 5 million metric tons of hydrogen. But this hydrogen is, as of now, produced mostly through burning of fossil fuels. So, and we want a green hydrogen. So green hydrogen, nothing but when we produce hydrogen using renewable sources. So this can also be a game changer for hydrogen. When we look for automobiles transportation, hydrogen can be a very, very clean fuel for, this long haul transportation like ships, trucks, and it can be used for, again, power generation and other industrial activities like fertilizer, mining, steel industries. This is, and government has actually in the last budget have laid down almost 20,000 crores to start with for putting green hydrogen infrastructure. Third initiative which I would like to say in the which is coming in the power sector is the like when we are scaling up this expansion of renewable energy, solar, wind, hydro. So if you will see it's a variable source of energy, but we all need round the clock power, 24 hours of power. If say during daytime you have power and in the night you don't have power, how would you feel? So these are variable sources of power and leads to instability in the transmission infrastructure. So these energy storage systems are coming in a very, very big way to address this challenge. So what will happen? The excess power during daytime will get stored through this battery storage system, and when there is a shortage of power, this power will be released. So it will. So from renewable sources only you create power, you store, and then from these renewable sources only you release the power and this thing. And then last, just to give you on the distribution side, one last initiative. It's very relevant for Odisha also because government is coming in a very big way in privatization of discoms. So in Odisha, Tata Power has taken up from the state district. So just to throw some numbers and insights, the national transmission and distribution loss is almost more than 20%. So whatever power we are generating, 20% is lost in between. It's a huge inefficiency in the entire system. And just to give you about our company, we are less than 3%. So this is the benchmark which has to come into the entire power sector to promote efficiency. So with that, I would like to hand over again back to Gopal. Thank you.
Thank you, Amit. It is insightful. So to audience, so one you see financial statement, right? So we read like say sustainability, we heard sustainability, but how to make it practical, right? So how I can see in day-to-day behavior. So in financial statement, right? So is there any disclosure today that the organization is following sustainable way or so? There is no, right? Just guess. Is there any disclosure?
Any disclosure about sustainability, inclusion?
Annual report of the company. So is any mandatory disclosure as of today? Any CFO?
And don't hesitate and don't think that okay we are sitting here that means that okay we know everything. You may be knowing something which you don't know.
So one is how to make it more practical, right? So there is a disclosure should be there somehow. What I feel that when regulation comes in place, like CSR, because earlier the CSR was not mandatory, but when government implemented CSR, then for every organization to disclose in financial statement that what is the CSR spending, right? So that same way now I had a curiosity in a few years ago, and I asked one of my environment specialists, like say sustainability expert. I say, okay, we can be sustainable. Let's say if I am a manufacturer, or let's say manufacturer whom I am advising, he can manufacture anything which is a renewable energy or so. But I'm a finance person, right? So I will look at what is my ROI. So if I put something on biofuel or like fossil fuel or something power, which is the traditional power, and just give me ROI in the 7 years. Within 7 years, I cover the cost of my investment. But renewable energy ROI is not easy, right? Anything I do, even the automobile vehicle I change from petrol or diesel to battery operated vehicle is expensive, right? So how ROI will come? And that is important for me. So one, let's say what can do government to discourage, or let's say industry or leaders commitment to discourage that energy which produce emission, and other is how can we promote green energy. With that, I will ask Akash, who is an automobile, and I will ask his view that how his thoughts and so. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Over to you, Akash.
So, okay. Sustainability, for a moment, I just go back, has come to our, consciousness in the recent past all over again. But if I go back and try to link it, even our sages used to talk about sustainability. They were very conscious of all the resources available then, when everything was available in abundance. Even then, they were very, very conscious, and they spoke at length on these topics that we have to be very conscious in what we are using and the way we are using. This is going to be linked to our current future. So sustainability is just not for government or the corporates. Sustainability, we can link it to sustainability living, sustainable housing, sustainable cities, sustainable country, and so on and so forth. So how we make houses which are lighted enough, we use solar energy to the maximum, and that's what is being explored today. So when good projects are coming in, they're telling how they're using the nature and making it more viable and sustainable on a long-term basis. There are a lot of concepts that are coming in saying walk to office, walk to school, walk to work. So those kind of concepts are coming in, and instead of small cities, they are making townships, 400, 500 acre townships where people can in 10-15 minutes walk to their office, drop their children to school, have the market or malls nearby, just walk it and use the least of the vehicles that we use. So these are the concepts which are coming for sustainability beyond the corporates as well. And each one of us own the responsibility, you and me including. And that's how I think we will be conscious and we will be able to have a sustainable place. Step number one. For corporates, as we know, we became too much focused on returns, because of which we started exploiting the nature. And that is where the challenge of sustainability has arisen today. The more we have tried to exploit it, the more challenges that we are facing. To me, on a short-term basis, sustainability would mean everything that it would mean for a corporate, like profits, like capital, how I manage my business in every day. But on a long-term basis, when I look at it, the investment is the life in itself. So in case we don't work and we look at just the short term, I think on the long term, any return on investment is not going to work. We all are going to die. So return on investment is our sustainability of the life that we are having. So that's the long-term vision. And therefore, with the consciousness of the governments across the world, all the big corporates are coming up with their own targets of being net zero. So net zero, as a concept, when it came up, it felt like it's too far-fetched, and therefore we should have shorter targets. So the corporates have taken, say, net zero, somewhere 50% reduction, somewhere in between, and then the net zero. So for our organization globally, the target that has been taken is 2030, when the emission would be reduced by 50%, and by 2038 net zero has to be achieved. So that's going to be a pretty Herculean task, because when we are looking at it, we are looking at each aspect of it. The way we are using or consuming power. Can we use grid power which is generated on thermal and declare ourselves to be net zero? No, that's not the way we can look at it. Can we look at my suppliers doing the same thing and I declaring myself net zero? No, that's not going to be the way. Again, my suppliers need to also move in that direction, and I need to help them move in that direction or cajole them in that direction, shake them up into that direction. Similar thing is being done by the government. And there are various policy measures that they have been taking. Hello. Hello. Yeah. So there are a lot of policy measures that they have been taking in the recent past. So it is called as NCAP, Net Clean Air, National Clean Air Policy. Similarly, there are FAME for automobile that has been given. Then you have emission norms for engines that have come in. So Bharat Standard 4, we have jumped on to Bharat Standard 6, which in 5 years' time is kind of catching up to the world. We were far behind and we have caught on the world. So that has come in. Similarly, we have plastics, no-use plastics or recyclable plastics that has come in. So the entire packaging material, you can imagine that there are direct, almost close to 2,000 components that we use in an automobile in my assembly in the plant in itself. And many of these we receive as assembled parts. What happens to the consumption there and what happens to the consumption here? Packing, as we understand, generally has been in plastics or thermocol. We consciously are looking at automobile industry to move away from there and use recyclable, like we have introduced a lot of trolleys which move in and out without using the packing. So that make it zero there. Similarly, we have installed in the recent past close to 15 megawatts of solar energy in our plant, which is massive. But am I able to fulfill my entire requirement? No, I'm able to meet my requirement only to the extent of 30%. Because of the solar rooftop that was available, that's consumed. What next? I need to look at alternate solutions. So the governments are making policies and the corporates are also moving in that direction to move and support in there. But how to make it financially viable? Because again, in case I increase the cost of my product, would it sell in the market? Will people be able to afford it? I have to run economy in a manner in which it is sustainable. So in case it is supposed to be sustainable and affordable, then I need to have a solution which works for both, financially as well as environmentally friendly. Keeping that in mind, one thing that we are learning slowly is reusing and recycling necessarily may not mean that it is going to add cost. That thought in itself or the idea in itself is being challenged now. So something which is waste for me could be useful somewhere else. Example, I may have a sludge from paint shop which is coming out. It could be used somewhere else. Where? Cement industry is using that. Similarly, from power, there is a lot of fly ash because of burning of thermal coal. Where it is used? It is again used in cement industry. So reuse is what we are learning and slowly moving in that direction. A major policy initiative that has come in this direction is also scrapping of vehicles that has come in. Which means when an old vehicle ends its life, government is encouraging people to give it to these centers so that, or exchange it, so that it can be scrapped. So the pollution will come down because every 5 years they are changing the emission norms, and more and more efficient technology is being used. And increase the scale of it. By increasing the scale of it, sustainable or affordable measures can be taken there. The commodity which is being scrapped can be reused again. So exploiting or extracting the nature, probably that will come down, or partly it will be curtailed to a great extent, is the idea of the government. Government are also taking a lot of initiatives to discourage polluting vehicles, both in commercial vehicle, which is trucks, buses, and so forth, and also on the passenger vehicle side, which is the cars and SUVs and everything else. For, if I take an example, the GST on an EV is 5%, whereas on a petrol or diesel vehicle, it is up to 50%. So 10 times is the multiple on a fossil fuel vehicle. And that makes it much more challenging and expensive. Lithium battery in 2010 used to be in the range of, say, about $1,000 per kilowatt. In last 10-12 years, it has come down to below $150 per kilowatt, which means it has reduced by almost 85% and becoming more affordable because of the volume and new sources that have been found out. So there are a lot of works which are happening in that direction, both from the government side and from the industry side, which is there. Another brilliant example is the PLI scheme, Product Linked Incentive Scheme, which is there, which is available only on the EV vehicles. So they are encouraging the industry to manufacture more EV vehicles than fossil fuel based vehicles. On power, again, they are discounting the power so that they can be renewed. In housing societies and various other places, they are trying to install recharging units there. So a lot of efforts which are being taken, and we as a conscious corporate are moving in that direction. Else we know that today government is incentivizing us, tomorrow they will shut it down. So therefore, this is the way forward. It is going to be the truth. You all are going to participate in that. Many of you will go in various industries and would get engaged in various forms. I'm still not touching on anything on social and governance part of it, but we probably will get a chance to discuss more about it. And
Thank you, Akash. I think these are very useful because in automobile, like say how government is encouraging the best practice and discouraging that through the higher GST on the diesel or petrol vehicles. So I think we have the last round with the Chirag, and I'm asking Chirag how business finance work globally, right? Say green tax and all, to make sustainable manufacturing or sustainable production, manufacturing, logistic and use. So that is the final, and after that we'll take audience questions. I think it's more, and anything like say I will encourage any difficult question, any nonsense question, anything you think you should ask. I think we are here to answer what the best we can relate and explain back to you. So over to Chirag.
Friends, how many of you believe that sustainability is actually a cost to an organization? And organizations are willing to incur this cost? My friends, we as an organization are meant for profits. We don't care about the environment. We do not care about anything else when it comes to hardcore numbers, which is there. If that's the truth, if that's a philosophy which is the profit-driven organizations, then we had climate change discussion in 1995. Why are we discussing sustainability in 2023? Because we all, as a human being, are never holier than thou attitude, per se. It boils down to numbers, and we just put numbers in place. In 2011, solar per unit cost of solar power was 16 rupees, 16. Why should a company like aluminum, who is power centric, invest in solar energy with incurring high cost where I'm getting thermal power for 2.7 rupees? I'm answerable to my shareholders, right? Guys, right? Then why suddenly a shift to interest in solar energy? Because now solar power has come down to 3.1 rupee. And why sudden speed in solar power? Is if you just go back 1 year back, there was sudden shortage of coal in China. China is a manufacturing hub for the world. Sudden shortage of coal in China resulted in peak increase in the coal cost. From 6,000 rupees per ton of an average coal quality, it went up to 30,000 rupees per ton. Just imagine what impacts the EBITDA of an organization which is power centric. It impacts their renewable thermal power. So now they are forced, because their EBITDA, the profitability subjects to shift to solar power, which is more sustainable, more, I would say, reliable. At 3.1 rupees, it's okay with me, the additional cost. Right? That's where the human beings shift. If, like, say, Sir said, the GST on the car is 5%, EV is car 5%, whereas in the fuel-based is somewhere around 50%. Still, the consumption cost of EV cars is quite lesser. The reason is the capex. Will you, burn out of your love for the environment, pay 30 lakh rupees for EV car, which immediately you are getting it for 10 lakh rupees car? No. Everything is economics. So that's where the smart solutions which is there has cropped up. In say last 10 years, the series of smart solutions which have flooded the market has actually helped the businesses to go for a, say, sustainable model, which it reduces their cost per se. The first thing which we discuss is reduction of cost. That, are we talking about scrap, recycling? It's like for environment? No. I first see my scrap cost reduction, how does it help me in my EBITDA? If I generate from bauxite to final aluminum versus my scrap to aluminum, what's my EBITDA? If it helps me out, I'll take an additional step over there. Right? So guys, always remember, economics is really the backbone of any change. And currently, as I rightly said, that developed nations have pushing for a target of 2050 as the zero emission norms, whereas India is talking about 2070. Why? Economics. Right? And just touch based upon a minute over here. Why the burden of sustainability is more on corporates? Any guesses? It's not because we have money. Yeah, please. No, it's clearly not because we have deep pockets and we can afford all of those. It's clearly not because of that. It's, if you see, I just put some numbers over here. Are you aware of 80-20 rule? Largely? 80-20, right? Now, the recent data suggests only 5% of the taxpayers contribute close to 95% of the tax revenue. So any change which is there, if it touched base upon this 5% of the population, it can have a amplifier effect. So if me as a Hindalco goes for the green energy, green aluminium, which is there. It goes downstream. The usage of aluminium. Like if I just say aluminum buses is there, aluminum racks, rail racks are there, aluminum, green aluminum is there. It goes long way. But if I pollute the aluminum, I use that same stuff goes down. So let's touch base upon the source first. That's where the entire investments about and smart solutions. I would not say no. I'm not holier than thou person. So I'm talking about smart solutions. If this generation comes up with a smart solution, reduces the cost, at the same time creates a sustainable operation per se, it does not create a business disruption, I would say industries will welcome you with open arms.
Thank you. Thank you, Chirag. So now to audience and students, what is, I mean, one, I have, I have one question, from students, how the finance will work. And from your thoughts, we want to make sustainable environment, we want to make production, consumption, and logistic, all three sustainable. How do you think, what are the drivers for finance? And any of you is learning for us, to the extent we know, we definitely share back to you.
It's your time.
It's your time, all of you
Just
are.
tell if a fintech can help sustainability, inclusion. Anybody would like to guess?
Of sustainability.
Okay. So and fintech, no, I think that's Gopal asked that. Okay, it's something like fintech. What comes to your mind when it comes to fintech? Okay.
So, sir, I will little bit diverted. So what I'm asking is, I think as a finance person, right? So how it will drive? So how it will drive, for example, the global institution like World Bank. It's come forward to say this is incentive and this is, something we want to do. G20, where leaders of globe, right, different country came forward and said this is our place. Right. So from the finance side, what do you think? What is any other driver which you are thinking it is going to help us? To me or from the other panelists, what I found is anyway from Bill or I can say from our wish point of view that we all wish to become environment sustainable. But what should be the financing mechanism for this ecosystem, how the collaboration is going to work actually, that is most important to see in future, from the country side, from the institution side, from the corporate side, and from that as a consumer as a large. Government mostly what do, government either bring legislation that you immediately, like say Delhi and NCR, circular came from the Noida authority, you can't run diesel set. And these are the options, that's all. Other option is government can incentivize it. So as a finance person, as a finance professional, what I'm thinking is that we have to think continuously that what will be the source of financing and what are the mechanism around it. So many of us will be working, let's say, and you will be working in a different sector of company. For example, let's say if you are on the bigger large corporates, they place that we will be sustainable. What about MSME, small, medium, and small industry? They may not have the capital. So, what are the incentive available for them for the from the government, and what are kind of the MOUs for carbon credit? What sort of the arrangement are in practice in the market to make sure that we are moving into the path? So with that, I will again back to audience. Any question on sustainability from any panelist? You are welcome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, since they start their class with reading financial documents and reports, if you are asked to redesign the reporting document, what do you think, what are those things that the company has to report back, or the chairman has to put into his speech that will speak that the company is really working in the area of ESG? Like what you are doing on the CSR, but on ESG front, what else that you would like to include? Because he was questioning that it has to reduce the cost, and ROI has to be reflected on that. On the other side that of it, how do you really link the sustainability initiatives to the performance of the organization, and how it reflects on the documents, whether it's a balance sheet or a P&L?
Can I take a shot? So, what do you think gives the maximum margin to any company? Okay, there is a company A, there is a company B, manufacturing the same products. Suppose clothes, okay? There is a Zara and there is a local brand. The same cloth, a Zara may earn a better margin versus a unknown brand which can say less margin. Why? Any idea? Any guess? Okay. What else? Somebody was saying brand. And why? How a brand comes? A brand comes because of the values you put into that brand, correct? When you see, if you say, I see a brand where I see that, okay, they do every unethical practice, will you be ever aspiring to wear a cloth of those brands? If I say that, okay, this brand only uses child labor, okay, and to make the denims, they have polluted all the rivers around China. Will you be ever aspiring to wear a brand, wear the clothes of that brand where there is a sticker or not on it? So, as finance professionals, what can we report? Professor Tapan asked a very nice question. What should be the report? So something it should be reported on the financial statements which really impacts the brand of the organization. Okay? What is an investor looks forward to? An investor looks a father when he invests something, what he looks forward to? I need to invest X amount so that my children, when they grow up, this X becomes 10X. Right? And how it happens? It happens because whether the organization makes profit, growing, these are the 2-3 criteria, whether there is a good capital, the ROI is there or not. So now, if the finance fraternity comes up with a good disclosure saying that, sir, this organization may be appearing very profitable, this organization may be appearing growth oriented, okay, fast moving, but why it is growing or why it is profitable? Because it is ignoring hundreds of areas where there is a cost involved to treat its affluent. To follow the ethical practice, there is a cost involved, and that's what they're evading so that it is profitable. Then the investor, they will see that when I'm thinking that for my children, I'll keep it for 10 years, 10 years later, this company may be of no use. The scripts of this company may be sold in the kg ke bhav mein milta hoga. Okay? So we need to shift and it comes under the governance mechanism. Okay? It can be very much in the governance mechanism that what all disclosures you need to make so that the brand also comes up very clearly whether it is an ethical brand or it is a non-ethical brand. It is an ethical brand which contributes to the climate change in a favorable direction, or it is a non-ethical brand which causes the concern for climate change. Okay? And now comes to the other side of reporting, okay, which comes on the inclusive side. So it is very much there today. What is inclusiveness? It's a pay parity, equality, gender equality, diversity inclusion. All this comes under the inclusiveness. See, tell me why I should have a better or easy access to something just because I'm 10, 20, 30 years born before you. Is there any reason? Do you accept that one? Do you accept that, okay, because you are a male or you are a female, you have access or you don't have an access to certain resources? Will you accept that one? Or will you accept that because you are born in this part of the geography or not born that part of the geography, you will not have access to certain resources? You are not, correct? So now, these things actually gets reported in most of the financials, and that actually adds on to the brand that yes, we have followed pay parity, whether irrespective of the gender, we follow the pay parity. How many diversity inclusions we have done while we are recruiting people, okay? And it is, and no, the cheapest thing or the easiest thing people pick is that whether it is, how many women you have hired. Boss, you have to go beyond that one. It is a 10 years, it's a fashion statement, that okay, instead of males, I have taken so many women. There are multiple, sexual choices people have, and we should be open and transparent about that one, that how we have welcomed various choices of people to them. How various colors, various religion, various creed, everybody we have taken, how we have hired. And those things gets reported today, okay, it's never it is not something which is considered as a choice before you make an investment. But if you are a smart investor, as a finance fraternity, we should say that, boss, if you are looking for something which is a long term, then these are the things which will enhance the brand value, and certainly it will give 10x, 20x, 50x over a period of 10 years. Okay, and that's how the resources will be mobilized towards that company.
Sir, just to add further to what sir said, in the reporting side, one is like business responsibility report has come in the formal setup of reporting. And it started somewhere around 2010-11, but it did not have any formats. So it was a very loosey format, and people all will say we are very much compliant, we are promoting social causes, we are promoting environment. Actually, it was all greenwashing or plain statements. Now, from this year, 1st April 23, government has actually come out with a format which goes by business responsibility and sustainability report. So now this report has a format. There is a proper data which needs to be presented. Now, with the uniformity coming in, there can be actual comparison between how the companies are performing. So it is giving it will be very useful to the user to compare how the business practices in one company is better off, or when sir said it will build a brand name, so this is the first step which government has taken. And no doubt, prior to this also, companies like I've seen Tata Power, CSEI, will talk mostly about power. They've actually implemented these GRI standards of ESG, and there this big fours there are other rating agencies which actually assign a formal rating to the ESG practices. So it brings so when one of the students said about green financing, so this is one of the first step towards accessing the green financing. No doubt, green financing is cheaper and it helps in promoting sustainability. So so some of the challenges where ESG is facing is, lack of awareness, and second is the data collection. How you actually collect data of the impact a company or business is making in the ESG forum. How you will analyze those data. How you will compare those data. And what the skill set required to actually, the skill set and systems actually required to generate those data and analyze those data. And these specialized skill sets are actually not very plentifully available also in the market. So all these concerns are being addressed gradually, and I think with this format and mandatory disclosures, though it is only for the top 1,000 listed entity, but it will come down to the entire ecosystem, and it will bring a lot of transparency and accountability the way business is operating.
And to sir, your point, ISSB has actually suggested that there has to be, there is a proper format to regulate around the governance of, the environment ESG guidelines. So it is very much something which is in a very draft stage. Maybe over a period of time, those things will be formalized.
Just to add, the way G20 was conducted, in that also it was one of the big topics saying how
the data which is generated through ESG practices across various countries can be collated, collected, and used for betterment. So, declaration, the governments would also start collating these data, ensure that they are analyzed well, actions are being taken around them. Many more regulations will follow around it, as Professor was just asking, saying what are your practices on various aspects of the operations that we are conducting. So it's just the beginning, I think, we are having, but governments are very conscious. Corporates are becoming very conscious. They, in their speech, the chairman, as they declare on labor practices, they declare on the human capital, how those are being used. They are declaring on various CSR programs that companies have. They are speaking about ESG very specifically now in their this thing. But as was indicated, it is becoming more structured so that data can be collated, collected. Otherwise, it was fractured. People will share it in different formats and government will not be able to pick it up. So artificial intelligence is definitely going to help this thing. But giving it a format in which it is being reported is going to make that much simpler, because just a state like Maharashtra would have 75,000 or more industries. We have 30 states in India, and you can multiply and see how many factories or institutes that we have. How it is going to be used for the entire India, therefore it needs structuring, it needs consolidation properly at the country level, and then the governments will run behind it to achieve their targets that they have committed in various forums. So that's what it is.
Thank you. Gus, next questions. Yeah. I think the student behind.
We can hear you.
Over to you.
I'm Professor Saroj Rautre. I'm having one question, like when we talk about sustainability, we see that it's expensive. A cost is involved. And then either the cost, the industry has to bear the cost, or the cost is to pass to the customer. When you are passing the cost to the customer, it becomes unaffordable for many of us. So in that context, if we see, when if we can't afford it, you can't go for mass production. So the cost doesn't reduce there. So the benefit doesn't pass to the customer. So in that context, what is the expectation of the industry from the government? Or so because if industry gets that benefit, then only it will pass it to the customer. Because it is, when we talk about the sustainability, it is the sustainability of the industry itself also. Because if you don't survive, then there is no point of, you will never think of sustainability. So what is the expectation of the government, or what do you think that, how that business model is to be developed so that we'll go to the sustainability, and then the benefit will pass to every one of us? Thank you.
Can I take that?
Chirag.
Can I take that
Yeah.
question? So, as regards cost element and passing the profits to the customer is concerned, I strongly believe that our economics which is there, it depends upon demand and supply, and that they play their role, plus A. So if the price of the sustainability has to impact the outgo or the customer sales price, it has to actually impact the entire ecosystem for the prices to increase. So for example, like if the sales product X is costing me $100, but for my competition it's costing around $80, I cannot say that you to a customer that give me at $120 because my cost is 100. So I have to manage my cost to come down. For that, I need to really I would say, be innovative and thoughtful as to where I can meet sustainable targets, but at the same time not get enriched. Because of which the government policies come into picture now. Now, if you go back, when the cost of solar power per unit was very high, the taxes were zero. Government was not collecting any taxes right now. But now, with solar power coming down to around 3.1 rupee per unit, there is government is levying customs duty, GST on the solar cells, solar modules, which is there, and they are really, if you see a normal basic customs duty on any of the products is somewhere around 7.5%. But however, on solar cells, it is 25%. And in solar modules, it is 40%. Now, isn't it a conflicting scenario? That once a government is saying that, no, I want to promote ESG, I want to promote environment, and I am actually penalizing the solar cells and solar modules. Do you agree?
Yes.
But is there a bigger economics behind this? So we have been flooded with solar cells and solar modules from China to India. Now, and the government is actually forcing you to make those solar cells and solar modules in India. So understand that at the end of the day, this government is very sharp enough to understand economics will play the role of decision making. If you leave up to the businessman will go for the cheapest source or solar module. Hence, they increase the customs duty to 25%, 40%, depending on the value add which is coming up, and encouraging manufacturing in India. So that my outgo to China by $85 billion comes down. Which is that. So the policies of the government have been quite flexible enough to accommodate industry to reduce their cost. And once that happens, it's all about the industries to leverage upon, take the full benefit of those to reduce their cost. Sales price is never going to get impacted, for sure. In fact, I would just like to touch on the green tax which is there. In the Europe, the requirement of the need for climate change and it has been so populated that if there is a polluting industry, they have to pay some green tax, which like we have to pay RPO, renewable power obligation, REC licenses and all those stuff. So if I'm selling a normal aluminium, I will get around $2,500 per ton. But if I sell a green aluminium, which is manufactured from solar energy, I get $500 extra. Why? Because the customer of mine is saving around $700 on a green tax. So it's all math, which eventually evens out. So I can afford to invest in renewable power because I'm getting recovering from the other state, my customers. That's math which is eventually played out by the government policies.
Yep. Just to say, add on to Chirag. See, you mentioned about low cost and high cost. Okay, we need to come, what is the right cost? Okay, so there is a right cost. If a mobile phone has to cost 10,000, it has to cost 10,000. Somebody selling at 5,000 is a cheaper one. Somebody selling at 15,000 maybe a costly one. Now, that's where the regulators needs to step in. The regulators needs to step in and say that what is the North Star of this industry? If the North Star of the industry is that, okay, with all green energy and this is the standard, then suppose company A is the North Star. Now, company A, B, C may be the people who are not following those norms and that's why they're able to sell at 5,000. How to stop it? The regulators has to say that, okay, boss, I'll charge a premium to these people. There is a very nice tool, correct? There is nothing. There is you have to penalize and you have to incentivize. So you have to penalize the guy who is violating all the norms to sell it at a lower price, and you have to incentivize whose cost is very high. So that's where then you have to come to the right price, and the low cost and the high cost will come down and towards the median, which is the right price. Okay, that's exactly what Chirag mentioned, that there's a green tax, you get a credit if you are manufacturing something, your manufacturing cost is high.
Thank you, Ved. So,
Thank you, sir.
So I think I want to add here, what the policy changes, I think infrastructure is important because in business, you don't have deep pockets. Even your investor will see return on a considerable because he has option, he or she has option to invest in the multiple, product. So obviously, like say, infra investment should come from the government side to make competitive. And actionable data, basically the data is one of the challenge because of these practices not taking the pace. So like generative AI, the data is who is in a better position, who has the data. Similar way, like say, I think in the sustainability, I think actionable data is also is the challenge. So with that, I will, I think, sir, to back to your answer is that we need infra actionable data and incentivize collecting the tax from those producing emission or traditional, producer to that any producer who is based on the renewable energy. So this is our opinion. Next question from students. I think I have to check. Okay. So anyway, NASSCOM, I will summarize that how NASSCOM, be with that and how we generally practice in NASSCOM and what we involve, let's say how we are engaged with the industry. So we engage with the entire IT industry. Initially, I thought, computer doesn't produce any emission, but I realized later on that it consumes power. So it contributes at least 2% of this overall emission. So anyway, all IT industry are far, aware, and the drive is there. We have sustainability function, Anuj Duggal, who had sustainability, and we are quite aware, and we are, our team is quietly engaged with the, different forums for awareness and working with the IT industry for policy and whatever the support needed from government or the ecosystem. So we are working on a lot of collaboration activity for sustainability. I think we have question from backside.
Good morning, panelists. My name is Rajkishore Sahu. On behalf of MBA1, I welcome you all to the Temple City. My question is for Mr. Akash Mittal sir and Mr. Chirag Bhatt sir. Sir, as you started your interaction by mentioning about townships and cities, I hail from real estate industry and I understand what's the complexities and the problems that we have to go through. So there's this new concept in US and especially in Europe that's getting popularized called 15-minute cities. So wherever you live in and wherever you work in has to be at least 15 minutes far away. So if we take that concept and reapply it in India, how complicated will that become? Because every single concept that hails from West gets complex in multitude levels when you reapply it in India, and it goes to a level of impossible. So do we really have to start from scratch, or do we have to wait for someone like MBS from Saudi Arabia to see how they function with the line? And for Chirag sir, even if we reach the target by 2070, is 50 years enough to reconstruct, let's say, 1,000 cities in India?
Okay, yeah. So thanks for bringing that up. 15 minutes is the max, not the minimum, right? So that is one thing that is being spoken about. This concept is already in India, and I have been staying in a place where this concept has been used for last 15-20 years, right? The way it is, they have had large pool of land that they have been able to gather. How they have been able to gather? They have been able to form, farmers have been able to form their own associations saying, we all pool together, say 400 or 500 acres of land, and then with support of the government or local authorities, they have planned it out in a manner saying, you have a school, so you have an ICSE school, you have a CBSE school, you have something else also, you have play school. So within the township, school problems, when they are renowned, they are good, takes care of itself. So Vibgyor is there and other good schools are there. The one which I stay, there is Amanora, which is very famous in Pune. You have Pawar Public School, you have another big school that is there. The school concept more is getting resolved. They're coming back very soon. Step number one. Step number two, they have provided infrastructure for hospitals. So reasonably good hospitals with anywhere between 50 to 100 beds are there in these townships. In one of them it is there, the second one it is planned, it is going to come up. Third is the walk to work or in a short distance. They've come up with a huge IT park at the center of the township, where they have come up with big IT firms, and those IT firms are made to pay the entire maintenance of the townships. So the cost of living for the people there is coming down because they don't have to directly pay for it. So these concepts are already working in India. Since I am able to relate, I currently stay in Pune, therefore I am able to give examples of Pune. These two is where I stay, next doors. There are others also which is on the Hinjewadi side, which is the IT hub of Pune. There also similar concept is working. So I know that these concepts have come in last 10, 15 years and are, picking pace. You have no problem of power there, no problem of water there. That is being assured again there. Many of them have worked out with solar power and a lot of other concepts have come in. And so these kind of concepts are there. It will not take a lot of time. The government was in discussion to form a township act at the central government, this thing. In case that act is in place, I'm sure it will get replicated in many more cities across India in no time. There are big private players in real estate where they will easily copy it and implement it. It will make a lot of sense, especially because the traffic pressure on the cities are increasing. In case they're not trying to solve this, again their properties may get stuck and they may become traffic islands. So these concepts, I'm sure, will spread very quickly. I missed your second question. So it was for him or for me? Okay. So as I said, I don't think 50 years is the time when it's going to take so much. The governments have taken a lot of steps. The pace at which they are currently working, the infrastructure in India is changing like never before. In last 7-8 years, the kind of infrastructure that you have seen, one of the reports which I read was, now India has the lengthiest network of roads in the world. Right? You must be knowing about that because this was a newspaper article. And which means the government is very focused on infra. They're trying to resolve a lot of other problems across India so that the pressure on cities come down. So the concept of metros, suddenly you see there are about 25 plus cities where the work of metro is going on. There are concepts of ring roads which are being worked around, and every city, inner ring road, outer ring road concepts have come in so that traffic bypasses it. The pressure on city they're trying to reduce. The moment it reduces, you have that clean India concepts which are coming in up there. People are very conscious and they're actively participating towards it. The investment will automatically come because I would be ready to pay premium for a society which has all these concepts inside it, and not to go for city or the societies where you don't have these kind of concepts up there. I will be isolated in 5 years, 10 years time, probably it will be out of demand, and in case I need to sell off at any point of time, I may not be able to liquidate that. So that kind of things as putting pressure, I'm sure the target of 2047 as government has taken, we should be able to reach much of it by 2047. On the emission carbon dioxide reduction, the target of government of India is to reduce it down to by say 50% by 2030, which is a huge target, and as indicated by government, they are ahead of the target. So I'm sure it will take much lesser. There are commitments which are given by the government, keeping the requirement of the people, keeping in the requirement of the economy, the kind of population that we need to cater, the kind of infrastructure that we need to build. They have kept that kind of a target. But the way we are making the infrastructure, the way we are moving ahead, I think we will be able to achieve much faster. The last segment is going to take the lengthiest of the time. As Chirag was just mentioning, 80-20 concept, we will be able to reach 80% much faster. The rest of the 20% is going to take much of it. And that's what I think is the factor which government has taken to achieve zero carbon emission by 2070.
Akash, if I just to add, to pinpoint answer the question is 1,000 cities for 50 years is like it can be done, not a major challenge. India has a good construction capacity to finish out 1,000 cities in next 5 years. I would rather say that. But again, going back to the math, do you want to have the cities a ghost cities? Absolutely no. So you create a township in somewhere in completely isolated place, but without any employment opportunity, without any economics associated with that. Will you live over there? No. Which is there. Now just step back and let's see what COVID has done to this concept. COVID has created a work from home culture in the businesses, and if you see the studies and reports, Big Fours and service-oriented industries have created their shops or offices in tier 2, tier 3 cities. Because that's where the population, from Jaipur, say Bhopal, say Indore, people used to actually migrate to Mumbai, Delhi, Chennai, and for the work, because it created high density population over there. Now, because of COVID, we have seen that people living in Jaipur and Indore, they can still contribute toward the workforce, and that's create a need to set up the office in those cities. So create an employment opportunity over there, so they don't have to come down to Bombay or any other place per se. This has evened out the demand and supply of the cities, congestion among the cities, and created the need to have smart cities in those, I would say, tier 2, tier 3. So I would say, and if you see again I go back to math and statistics. Where the manufacturing sector is somewhere around 24% of the GDP, which is there, and workforce also to that extent. Our service industry is somewhere around 56% to contributing towards the economy, and workforce also is substantially high in those. So those demand of the workforce that I want to be from near to my place, I can actually contribute using technology, I can actually contribute towards this. And then the companies evolve themselves from the cyber security aspects and other things. I don't see a challenge of 1,000 cities. 1,000 cities is too small a number per se to come up with 1,000 smart cities. It cost what? 10,000 crores to set up one smart cities. It's a very nominal amount. The only thing is economics has to be developed around that. The demand and supply has to match, and the people are ready to invest.
Thank you, Chirag. I think we are close to our closing time, and just want to add 2 or 3 lines about how in NASCOM we do practice. So we don't use any plastic bottles from years. We don't use any paper. We use hair dryer in washrooms, and we are completely all our events are carbon neutral. So we use in events as a reusable product, and we buy carbon credit, so make it that net zero. So we have largest event NTLF in Mumbai, and I've been in 2 days ago. I've been in Maharashtra meeting the government, and then one of the point we say we are carbon neutral, so that goes very well. And our most of IT members are also following there in advance. So that's what we do. Personally, I think I don't use plastic or poly bags from last 3 or 6 years. I think so. I carry bags. So I request all of you, we can do the small things. It helps a lot. So with that, I think I will thanks to all the panelists. We talked what we could have talked with this group. I was expecting few more questions, but sort of time, we couldn't take all the questions. So here panelists they are here. So I will encourage any of you to have one-on-one or offline talk to them. The objective for all of us to be here, that how we can help and exchange the knowledge what we have and can learn from you as well, that what you're looking for. With that, thank you all. Thank you so much.
I would express my gratitude to the panelists for joining us today despite their hectic schedules and providing us with some good analysis on all the topics we discussed. It was great to hear from all the panelists. We thoroughly enjoyed the panel discussion.
Before we move forward, we have with us our esteemed guest, Ms. Anita Patnaik, General Manager of RBI. I would like to request Professor Tapan Panda to kindly felicitate ma'am. I request the guests to join for the tea in KSOM Conference Hall. Students, please be seated till the guests leave. After the break, please join the respective workshops. Thank you and have a good day.
चले आता